How did you find out your so was cheating on you? I had a feeling for a while. It was always denied, of course, directly and through a massive amount of gaslighting. Ultimately, the other woman was also married and her husband called me at work, found me via LinkedIn. Took everything I had to walk to my car to cry in private. She became more and more distant. Not just that, but also indifferent. She just stopped caring and it showed. I caught her because she claimed she was working OT. But her pay never reflected it. One day I got out of work early after a machine broke down in the department. I didn't tell her. When I came home, I caught her red-handed with someone in our bed. I had her phone to take a cute photo of our cat. Text notification popped up, "I can't wait to make love to you." Got chlamydia. I knew I didn't mess around. And my ex before her tested negative. So there wasn't many options left. 1 + 1 = 2. He told me he is at church. Then I heard a voice asking in the background, "Babe, why are you hiding in the bathroom?" He still had the guts to deny it. My friend told me that she tried to fuck him. His Skype convo came up while I was reading a manga on his PC. I got the beautiful opportunity of reading all about how terrible I was. My heart broke. I have a really sensitive nose. I smelled her in his bed. When my STD test came back and the doctor said, verbatim, "Well, your girlfriend is lying to you." Her Facebook profile picture had his reflection taking the photo. He had told me he was away for a weekend with his friends. A mutual friend of ours made a throwaway account to leave us, my ex and I, cryptic messages about it. He would leave me messages hinting at what had happened and how I shouldn't trust my boyfriend at the time, while also sending my ex messages about confession. It was weird. But it worked and my ex eventually told me everything. We were watching a movie at his house when I got a phone call from his roommate's girlfriend. She sounded upset and asked me to step outside so she could speak with me privately. I didn't think to ask how she knew I was currently with my boyfriend. I went out to the front yard and she told me about how she and my boyfriend's roommate, her boyfriend, were led to believe that we had an open relationship. He was bringing girls home constantly whenever I was gone. Sometimes the same girls repeatedly. She and her boyfriend, the roommate, had only just realized that I had no idea what was going on. They felt awful and they made a plan to tell me. I was a little numb when she told me this. It was hard to believe I could be so oblivious. There were a lot of nights I was working late studying. I was in college, and a lot of nights he said he had to work late and I never questioned him. When I went back inside, my boyfriend wasn't there. I found him in his roommate's bedroom. Roommate had come out while I was on the phone and told him who I was talking to and why. He was sitting on the floor and couldn't even look at me. I tried to talk to him about what he'd done and for how long. Roommate tried to help facilitate. Good guy. But boyfriend couldn't even look at me. Kept repeating how awful he was. It got annoying. So after a little while I thanked roommate profusely and left the room. A friend picked me up. I maintained my composure as I went to gather my things, exit the house, and get in the car. Then I put my head between my knees and sobbed. Broke up with him right after that. Had a weird week of him trying to get back into my good graces and me almost letting him. But I had realized how immature and stagnant of a person he was. He stalked me for a little bit and my own roommate threatened the cops if he ever came on our property again. He was in his mid-20s and I was 19 when we started dating and I didn't realize how much of a red flag that was. Glad I wasted only a year of my life on that bozo. I look back and cringed. But I was young and still figuring things out. I still hope his roommate and the girlfriend are doing well. When I called the woman who never got up before noon at around 9 a.m. and she wasn't at home. As a sports writer for a daily newspaper, I was assigned to cover high school football games across the region. I happened to be working a game in my hometown one Friday night. My then-wife took her turn as a band booster mom working the concession stand at that same game. Because my schedule was so random, she had no clue I was there that night. Sitting in the press box keeping stats for my story. I used binoculars to better see the game. I spotted my wife in the visitor's side concession stand. Standing next to her was a local cop. When I saw them kiss, I knew. We eventually divorced. The cop divorced his wife of more than 30 years in order to marry my ex. They were married about a year. Then divorced. I've remarried and will celebrate my 9th wedding anniversary in May. The threesome stopped, but she kept going out with that girl. He drove past me when he was supposed to be out of town overnight for work. She tried making moves on one of my closest friends. Didn't think he would tell me for some reason. Caught her at an internet cafe messaging someone on an adult dating site. Lol, best thing I could have done. He only wore cologne for special events. I had just cleaned our bathroom cabinets and organized everything. A few days later, I noticed his cologne bottle had slightly moved. Dug out his clothes from the previous night and found makeup all over his shirt's shoulder. I didn't wear that kind of makeup. The cologne bottle never lies. She didn't hide it very well. I caught her at a bar the first time. Immediately began sleeping in separate rooms. Then during a cancer scare for me, she said she was going to a friend's house. I did the old *69 on the phone. And a dude answered the phone. She asked for separation on a Wednesday. Called on a Friday to ask for her stuff. I said sure. I need you to sign some papers. Divorce papers. Found single bottle cap on the stairs. I didn't drop it there. I don't drink upstairs and I hadn't had a drink all week. I cheated the crap out of that little piece of evidence. She was supposed to be on a business trip, but had been home while I was at work. Her roommate told me lol. I deployed to Iraq, 7,000 miles away. And she said she needed space. I still had her MySpace, lol, password. And logged in to check her messages and found her playing 20 Qs with a bunch of guys and telling them how many sexual partners she had been with. I was her only when we started dating. Which apparently was like 3 while I was gone. I also found a bunch of messages of her meeting up with some dude she worked with. So the next opportunity I had to call her at the phone, internet cafe on base. I tried to confess that I felt bad for checking her MySpace. But before I could get the sentence out, she accused me of cheating on her when all she heard was I need to confess. So I exploded on her and told her no bitch you did. And how dare you accuse me? Yada yada yada. I was so pissed. And devastated. 5 years gone. And I couldn't do a damn thing about it being that far away. Technically wasn't my so when I found out. But time frames. On a college break visit just before we broke up. She wanted me to finish inside her as she was on birth control, something she was very opposed to before. And this was the first I'd heard of it. We did not get intimate that night due to red flags. And a week later we split. In the process of unfollowing her on Tumblr and whatnot a week later, I saw a post about a recent miscarriage. And soon after she and her new man blocked me on everything. It was an abusive relationship. So it was definitely a bullet dodged. Not cheating, per se. But I found out later that she met someone while we were dating. After a really intense 6-month relationship, she became a raging bitch practically overnight, saying the meanest thing imaginable. It was her way of getting me to break things off. Less than a year later she popped up on my FB feed in the memories section and I saw that she was married. That kind of fucked with my head. Honestly. So I did a little digging. She was on a website about relationship advice. I knew her username, she told me earlier, and I started looking through some of her answers. Sure enough, one of her answers told a story about how she met her current husband and it lined up to when we're dating. The way he smiled when texting his female friend, but as soon as I spoke to him all light and happiness disappeared from his eyes. He left his phone open to someone named Blocked, texting him about her weird sunburn from her swimsuit straps. Funny thing is, I wouldn't have given it a second thought if the contact name in the phone was anything normal. So and so from work. Whatever. Not a second thought. But titling a contact Blocked, who clearly isn't blocked since they're messaging you, is just a big red flag. Didn't find out until way after. But fuck, I knew. There was a shift in his behavior. And I just always had a terrible feeling that he was fucking around behind my back. But he was pretty good at covering all his tracks and I found nothing. Fast forward several months later. We're already broken up because it was a tumultuous relationship all in all. And he's begging me to get back together in his car over some fast food. I instead take this opportunity to pry as much information from him. Claiming I just want the truth and want a fresh start. He admitted every detail, including her name and the fact that she too was cheating on her then boyfriend. The funnier side of it, which thinking of it now it's crazy I heard nothing about this when it went down, is her side of it. I guess they had took a video of them having sex and carelessly left it in their Snapchat conversation. And while Missy was at her own family's event with her boyfriend, he went through her phone while she got up from their table. Found the video. He made a scene from what I understand. They all knew what she did. After learning what I need to know I laughed with him. Had him feeling nice and forgiven. Took my free meal and never saw him again. Our 14-year-old daughter went through his phone and caught him. So yeah, that was cute. She turned off of her password on her cell phone. And left it at home while she was at work. I was looking at pictures of our son that we had together since 2010. I saw texts from her to her ex-boyfriend that she had for about a year when we were apart. She texted him on Christmas and my birthday and said a whole bunch of shitty things about me. Saying extremely graphic things that she wanted to do with him. Later she asked me to bring the phone to her at work. Needless to say, it kind of sealed the deal on that. Incoming essay. Feel like I have a pretty rare one here. I found out because she told me. Right after it happened. Because she felt horrible. We lived on different floors of the same dorm. And she had been watching a movie with a guy friend. She came up to my room after and started crying. I sat on the couch next to her and asked what was wrong. She said the guy friend had kissed her. And she broke down sobbing. I started kissing her arms, hands, and cheeks. She was covering her face with her hands. And she asked why I was kissing her. I said, well, it's not like you kissed him back. She answered with silence. And I was like, oh. We talked for a bit and she said he had kissed her and next thing she knew they were making out. But it kicked in what she was doing and stopped. And made the guy leave and then she came up to me. She never told me how long they made out for. So I knew it was a decent amount of time. We stayed together a bit longer. Trying to make it work. But the damage had been done. I loved her so much. But that one act hurt me more than I knew. One day she told me, you don't look at me the way you used to. And I realized she was right. It wasn't because I didn't want to. I just couldn't anymore. I broke up with her shortly after. We kind of rekindled the flame a year or so later. But I wasn't ready to recommit and she ended up getting back with her ex. I was glad I didn't because one time we were hanging out she drunkenly admitted, while dating her now husband, that she wished she had waited for me to be ready to date again. The pain of having my heart figuratively eviscerated fucked me up for a long time. Blamed myself for it happening. Made me think I had been a bad boyfriend or I wasn't man enough. I have a physical disability. But I don't blame her. She was a beautiful woman. Inside and out. But she had crippling insecurities about her appearance. And she couldn't help herself when a very attractive man showed interest. Society has done a hell of a job of making people feel shitty about their appearance if they don't fit a very specific body image. One of the last times we talked I asked her if she had ever believed me when I said she was beautiful and she said, no. That crushed me because I thought she was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. And I meant it every time. I just wish she had seen herself the way I saw her. Despite it all, though, I learned a lot about relationships and myself. What I want and deserve. And it's helped make me a better, stronger person in the end. Sometimes that's all you can hope for. TLDR. Insecure girlfriend made out with guy friend who initiated a kiss with her. She immediately told me out of guilt, but the relationship didn't work out in the end. This was over 20 years ago. My friend, also who had recently passed from cancer, narrated a really strange dream while my husband, of 13 years, was out of town. Voice of dead friend took me to the place I lived when husband and I first met. And toured the empty apartment like I had just moved in. And as we went through the place, all she said was, begin again, over and over. The main thing was the feelings that washed over me in this dream. I felt young and hopeful again. Life full of possibility. Instead of middle-aged and exhausted. And hurt that my husband needed a vacation without the kids and me. Phone rang and woke me up out of the dream. It was husband calling from the road to check in. I told him about the dream. He got really quiet and cut the trip short to rush home. Later he admitted the purpose of the trip was to hook up with a woman he had been chatting with online. And when I had been dreaming about the time before we had met. He had been actively cheating on me with her. I asked him, "Okay, what now?" And he said he would like to date the new woman some more. At that, I was done with him. But tried to co-parent and move on. Gotta admit, friend oversold the new beginnings thing a little. But I'm forever grateful for the way the truth came to me. Also, ex still thinks I'm a spooky bitch and hasn't lied to me since. He knows I have dead friends who are looking out for me. I don't care if what I experienced was my own subconscious speaking to me. Or a visitation from a loved one. It happened. And it woke me up. TLDR. My dead friend revealed my ex's affair in the classiest way possible. With the sensation of new beginnings and optimism. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.